Hi everyone, this is update 10 for the Cheltenham Festival of 2020. And before I start, I'll just say that this is my view on what the weekend's racing and last week's racing was and held. And I have a strong view actually in today's video. That's why I wanted to say that it's my view. Today we'll just go through most of last week's racing, how I felt about it, how it affects one of our bets, and just about one of the bets that I put off. It's a small bet, and it's not a bet that I would be advising to many of the people that watch the videos, but I'll explain it as I go along. So anyway, Copperhead, he won very nicely. I thought Sam Brown just blew out totally, made his job a lot easier. The ground at Ascot was attritional, so a lot of horses wouldn't have run their races. And Copperhead has put himself firmly in the RSA or National Hunt Chase picture, really. Jumped really nicely, could call the winner a long way out, and after progressing from handicaps, he's a horse that you have to take very seriously, and he's a good stayer, and even though he's come from handicaps, he'll put it up to them all. Sporting John was probably the star of the show at Ascot. He just blew Master Debonair away, really, and has to be considered just about the top JP novice hurdler this season after that performance. Certainly stronger form than Chantry House is. Chantry House got a lot of potential, but I would say that Sporting John's got the form in the book that's stronger. I'm not sure that JP's got too much in Ireland from what I've seen this season, so Sporting John definitely put himself in line. A lot of good novice hurdlers this season, that's the problem. It's a season where there's good novices in all three divisions, and it's going to be very difficult to pick between them when you go to the festival. Those races are going to be superb races, in truth. Silius Emery made the transition from chasing buck to hurdling, and hurdled really well in his race. The problem is the form is very difficult to evaluate, as Darasso was giving him £7, and he's not that great, really, Darasso. I mean, he was well behind Cornerstone, Lad Ballyandy and Pentland Hills at Haydock. And then if you add in that he's given Silius Emery £7, it's difficult for him to evaluate. I think he's correctly priced, and he wouldn't really interest me for the Champion Hurdle, because I'm only interested in horses I think they're going to win but are overpriced, and he's not overpriced. So although he can win, he's certainly not overpriced. The Tiger Roll race, Tiger Roll just came for a comeback run. It was over way too short a distance for him, and he performed really well. Really, he jumped okay. He had a nice run, and he was just there for a blowout, really, and he ran okay. Cracking Smart, he definitely has improved his form in that race. He was a good novice hurdler as well, but he's still got a long way to go. But it was a first rung up the ladder for him. Penn Hill ran a better race. He'll probably be the one that the hipsters will start talking about for the Stairs Hurdle, but for me, I can't see him beating Paisley Park unless he improves a lot. Even though he's won a Stairs Hurdle before, he'd need to improve a lot on the performance he put in on Sunday to get close to Paisley Park. So I'll get on to Riders on the Storm. Now, we backed him for the Ryanair. I'll say firstly that I think he's probably left the Ryanair at Ascot on Saturday. He had a bruising race, and a race that would be very hard to turn him out again in 3.5 weeks to go just as well in the Ryanair. But what I will say about the horse is they clearly had a plan to beat Cheltenham, and I thought Riders on the Storm was by far the best horse in that race on Saturday. I heard Fitzgerald and McCoy saying, "Oh, Cobden's got Cheltenham jumping well, he's cruising, he's doing everything right, he's going really well." I don't buy into this theory that Cheltenham was way below his best either. I can't see how Paul Nicholls is going to be putting his top horse in a £150,000 race not fully fit. Riders on the Storm ran all over him, and the problem with Riders on the Storm was he didn't settle. He wanted to go faster all the time. It was a small field, so he was getting no cover. He had clear daylight ahead of him the whole time. Every time he came to the fence, he could just jump it. And because he pulls and he's a hard ride for Sam, and you got to feel sorry for Sam because he's going to take a bit of a slating for the ride maybe, but even though he won because like he's gone so early and the horse is like being finished legless, but the horse is just pulling his arms out the whole way. He wants to go quicker. He can't. He's a hard to control horse, and with no cover and no horses in front of him, he must have been a horrendous ride. But he has run all over Cheltenham for the whole race. But the problem was that they got into a real scrap way early, and they both finished legless, and that's the only reason that traffic fluid came anywhere near them. If that race had started where they probably wanted it to start, Riders on the Storm would have won, everyone would have been raving about him, and we'd have all been talking about what a great horse he was. But because they got racing so early, the race has sort of fallen to bits completely, and that's the only reason that a 50-1 shot came into it. For me, Riders on the Storm was far better than Cheltenham on the day. He had him beat all ends up. I'm sure if Sam had the race again, he would just try desperately to hold on to Riders on the Storm until probably coming round into the straight. But like he said, they had a plan. The plan was to engage early, but they just engaged a bit too early, really, and they've left nothing in the petrol tank. And that's why I feel that our Ryanair bet is probably left out on Ascot Racecourse, to be honest. But Connections have won a Grade 1. They've done really well with the horse. He's won a lot of money on Saturday, and they've taken a big scalp in Cheltenham as well. There's no other horse has gone to Ascot and been able to turn him over. And they've turned him over, in my view, very easily, to be honest. It's just that they did it a wee bit too early in the race. However, he's won. He's jumped. I've seen people saying he didn't jump very well. He didn't jump as well as Riders on the Storm can, but he jumped better than most. And once he started being put in the race, he jumped better than Cheltenham as well. For me, it was a stunning performance. I thought he was a good horse after Aintree. I backed him after Aintree for the Ryanair. I waited for the next race before I put him on the videos. I backed him heavily after he won at Ascot the last time. I feel the bet's gone, but boy, he's a good horse. He's a really good horse, and after watching that, if he hadn't run at Ascot, he would have won the Ryanair for me. Absolutely no question about it. He would beat Min and a Plutard if he hadn't run on Saturday. But he has run on Saturday, and it's going to be a monumental effort to get him back. Finally, I was passing the Ladbroke shop last Wednesday or Thursday, and I saw the price on Fulham Cross was 33-1 for the Kim. We backed him last year when he wandered around, when he hit the front, and he finished second at 16-1 for us. He was 7-1 on the day. Excuse me. And I just think at 33-1 off the same mark, he's too big a price. But he's got the handicap blot of Glenlow looming like a dark cloud over him. So I wouldn't advise very much money, because it could be he's just playing for places. But I think he's a big price, and I certainly think he's a player. But I wouldn't back him at anything less than 25s in honesty, because it could be that we're just playing for a place. And if you haven't got much chance of winning, then putting 2 stakes on and only getting 5 to win the place, it's not a really good bet. So yeah, he's one that I've thought about putting up as a bet on the bank, but because of the well handicapped horses that are in the race, I've decided against putting him up, but I will mention him on the video. So anyway, very strong view on Riders on the Storm. Think he's a really good horse going forward, but probably Saturday has left a mark that does put our Ryanair bet into question. But anyway, I'll wish everyone that's watching the videos, a lot more people watching at the moment. Funny, quickly, Jules said something really funny in the comments about, do you remember when we had 5 subscribers in the caddies and all that? And yeah, I remember. And if I don't get this anti-post book sorted out for Cheltenham, I might be back to 5 subscribers. But anyway, it was a funny comment. I remember those days very well. And yeah, I still put the same view up as I put up then, to be honest. But anyway, yeah, wish everyone a great week, and I'll be back to you next week with another update. Thanks for watching today. Bye.